Hi you guys, Mimsy here. Have you made a set of curtains for a window in your house? You were careful to measure them and cut them carefully. You pulled a thread to make sure that your fabric was nice and square, and you still have a little bit of shortness on either end of your drapery panel. For some reason, you just can't figure out why the seam side of your drapery panel is shorter than the rest. The rest of your curtain hits the floor nicely, but the edges are up off the floor, and you just don't know why. Well, this is the video for you. I'm going to tell you what this is all about, why your curtain is up off the floor, and how to resolve it. So let's get started. Okay, so there's a couple reasons why the side seams of your curtains are up higher than the rest of your drapes. The first situation, or the first reason why your drapes could be shorter on the edges, on the seam edge, the leading edge and the back edge of your curtains, is because of take-up. It's a term, commonly used term for when your side seam draws up your curtain panel a bit, and that happens at the sewing machine. So I'm going to take you to the sewing machine and show you how to combat or eliminate take-up, which will eliminate this problem. There is also one other possibility as to why it could be, your curtain could be drawn up on the edge, and that is if you made your curtains from scratch and you didn't take off the selvage edge. A lot of times the selvage edge is woven much tighter than your fabric, particularly with a linen fabric. That could be the case. Your linen is stretching and your selvage edge is not stretching, and therefore the edge is drawn up. So it's not really drawn up, but the rest of the curtain is stretched out. So that could be another reason why your edges, your leading edge or your seamed edges, are higher than the rest of your curtain, because your selvage edge is on there. So that's why I always like to cut off my selvage edge whenever I'm working on any project. I remove the selvage edge no matter what, because when you wash it, whatever it is you're making, the selvage edge will shrink differently from the rest of your fabric. Even if you're not washing it, as in this case, this is a linen fabric and all my fabric is stretched out and the side seams are not. So let's go to the sewing machine and I'll show you how to eliminate take-up. Okay, so here we are at my sewing machine, and I have some white leftover sheet fabric, and I'm going to show you how to sew this so that you don't get take-up in your side seams. So here's what you do in order to eliminate take-up. First of all, set your sewing machine to the longest possible stitch, and then you're going to want to take a hold of your fabric behind your presser foot and also in front of your presser foot, and you want to pull these apart with a good bit of pulling against each other as you feed it through your presser foot. Because if you just let this, if you're just guiding it through and your fabric is just loose, you're going to get a little bit of puckering in here, and there you can't see it, but when you go to hang your curtains, there's going to be a little bit of take-up. Particularly if you have a very long curtain panel, 8 feet or more, you're going to see some take-up in that. So as you're feeding it through your presser foot, grab a hold of it back here and have a hold of it up here, and make sure that you keep this fabric very taut. And make sure you're, as you're pulling it taut, you're allowing it to go through your machine at the rate that your machine pulls it. You don't want to stretch your stitches or anything like that. That should eliminate any take-up on your side seams. So that's the solution. And then you may want to go ahead and put a weight in the bottom hem. You can either use a square weight that goes in this seam here, or you can use the sausage weight that you put all the way across the bottom of your hem, and that should pull the corners down a little bit better as well. So there is 2 other things that you could do to eliminate take-up if you're making drapes. Is you could go ahead and hand stitch your side seams, and that would eliminate any take-up. Of course, that would take you a long time. Or if you have a walking foot that you can put on your machine, or if you've got a walking foot machine, then that will resolve any take-up usually as well. But if you have take-up in your drapes already, if you've already assembled them, you've hung them, and there's some take-up on each of the sides, what you can do is take your seam ripper and just rip out like every 10th stitch or so. Just cut like every 10th stitch, pull on that side seam to let it fall, and see if that allows your drape to hang straight. And then just come back in with a needle and thread and put a couple stitches where you broke those out. Then you don't even have to take your curtain down. So that's how you eliminate take-up. Thanks for watching, you guys.